Got my harvest bucket, and I'm going to do some harvesting today. The first thing I'm going to do is take my last cabbage. I just have not been planting more cabbage. It's getting warmer here, and they take a really long time to grow. It's more of a winter crop, but I have been taking these leaves off just to see if they will, if this cabbage will continue to head, and it's got a hard head on it, and it's that big. You can tell it's not huge, but this is primarily the core since I pulled off all the leaves. This is my celery plant, and this gives you a reference to how big this thing has gotten. And I don't really need any celery right now. I'm not cooking with it. And I have pulled off some of these, but this thing is so thick in there that I'm probably going to take out a few of these outer smaller ones and do them up some kind of way. Okay, those are the cabbage I pulled off. And the celery I pulled off down in there with the cabbage. And that's what she looks like now. Looks like a proper celery. And over to the right, I've got a couple more growing. A couple butter crunches. I'll let you see here their size. Here and here. There's a little bit of a leaf tip burn on these. Whereas the Adriana over there are not. It's supposed to be a little bit more heat tolerant, but the Adriana aren't as big. And I'm going to take one of these. I'll add the lettuce. We've had some flash flooding. I'm kind of embarrassed to show the greenhouse in general, but there's a lot of wet in here still. But I wanted you to see the towers here, the various herbs growing all the way around. Yeah, sage and basil and thyme and rosemary. It's thyme. Chives, cilantro, growing on the other side. Sage, and I don't know, all of them growing nice. The two lettuce towers seem to be doing really well. Actually, the smaller beginning leaves are bigger than traditional. The ones that I planted like up here in these experimental pots. I just removed this lettuce. But they seem to be doing really well. Just a shot from the other side. That's rosemary down there and spearmint right there. And the other side of the grow for the towers. And those are my Adriana lettuces. And to show you my beans, this variety is called Prevail. And this is one bush right here. Each one of these little fawn pots has one in it, and I'm planting consecutively 4 or 5 pots. Then a couple weeks later, like down here, I'll plant some more, and got some other places. But I put out a lot of beans here. I wanted to show you too that I'm getting some damage here. Gosh, I hope that's not mites coming back. I hope that's aphids. But the good thing about planting this way and planting bush beans is that if they take over one plant, I can remove one plant and keep going, plant another one. But these things make a remarkable amount of beans. Really pleased with that. So here's one of them. Here's another of the originals growing in there. Not quite as many in that one, but still doing well. This one's tipping over from the weight of the beans. Have another one right here that's coming along really well, the original. There's a couple there that are behind it by a couple weeks. Okay, this is the takeoff of 5 plants. And I know you're like, oh, that's not very many. But I've got probably half that in the fridge, and I'll add this to it, and that is easily one meal. Easily one meal for 3 people. Especially coupled with the other vegetables. And I garden for fun. I don't garden to produce lots amount, and I don't like or don't want to can anymore. So I'm doing the consecutive planting thing like I talked about, and this is just what I'm looking for. This is fresh meals as you go. And there's my bucket so far. This is my cucumber plant, and it's a bit alpha. And what I noticed about this a couple years, maybe 3 years ago when I first grew it, is that it put off females like crazy. And again, last year did the same thing. And again this year, doing the same thing. As a matter of fact, I have not seen a male on this thing anywhere. And this is seed I've had for a while now. But look. No males, tons of females going up. There's another one growing. Female, 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 all the way up, female. No males. I have not seen one male. What I'm trying to tell you from all that is that I can't see any other way but that this cucumber is parthenocarpic. Otherwise, why is it setting and growing fruit? Now in the beginning, they stay little, but I think the plant goes through something. I think after a while it says, hey, we're not getting pollinated, but we're going to do it anyway. And that's what she does. And I noticed that last year. I thought maybe the ants were doing it. But, you know, I would think that, you know, normally something would pollinate it. But you have to have a male. And these are my only cucumbers right here. So unless they're getting pollinated somehow from squash, which I know to be impossible, this plant, as cheap as the seed is parthenocarpic, and that's a good thing. It's a really good thing, but I'd still like to be able to pollinate at least once so I can save the seed. And because I know that if I can do that, then I can continuously grow parthenocarpic cucumbers in a greenhouse, and these are really good cucumbers too. I pulled this one. It's a little big, but I know because I've experienced these before that will still taste very good. So I need something to go along with the lettuce, and now I got me a nice sized cucumber and several that are going to be growing and maturing here in the next few days and continuously. Okay, this is a squash I'm really excited about. I want you to follow it up here. Yep, it's vining. And continue on. I've got a couple there that I've selfed for grow out next year. You can see here there's a branch on it. This thing branches like crazy. It's growing up and around, producing those yellow globes everywhere, and now it's way over there and has met my cucumbers. This plant is a really, really beautiful plant, and look at that. It's setting these nodes with baby fruits all along, and lots of females, not enough males to keep up, but there are some. You can see one there and one over there. Lots of golden beauties, and this is the size, maybe a little bit smaller. This is softball size. It's a little big for this one. This one's a little small, but I'm gonna take them both and we're gonna eat those up. Okay, here's my bucket so far. I pulled those two, And here's one of my hybrids. This is an F2 generation, and I'm going to, I've selfed that, I hope it took, and I'm going to continue growing this one out. This is a beautiful, beautiful, fantastic tasting yellow. It's shiny in some areas and lighter striped in others. And that's just a fantastic tasting squash. This row is my San Marzano Redortas, and it's a really prolific, beautiful plant, and I love the way this thing tastes. And before they start, this is a paste tomato, wonderful, wonderful taste. But before they start ripening up, they hang for a while and they get pretty dang big. Look at the size of that one. And wonderful, wonderful tomato. Lots and lots of fruit set. Look at the size of that one right there. I want to show you my Redortas. These are my Camparis. My Campari grow experiment, saved from seed from the store. And you can see that they're putting out a lot of babies. I'm trying to keep them to one main stem, and this one's a double truss right here. A lot of tomatoes. That one's really going to weigh down. I got some on the other side, you can see there, even some that are starting to change color. And here you can see this one, and that's about the size they are in the store, and I'm looking forward to trying that out. I've got some Heg Germans, including, I see there, a red one. And taking a look at these, they're not as prolific. They don't set as many tomatoes as a hybrid, for example, but there's still quite a bit of tomato set in there. And you got some that are turning. The thing about these, this Heg German is a pink, beefsteak style. It is very, very tasty. It's the favorite of ours of all the heirlooms. And well, that's a big one there. That's a nice one. So those are my Hegs. This is my cherry. It's a black cherry. Love this tomato, and you can see I've got some on here that I'm going to pick. They're starting to turn. Tried to keep this to one main stem as well. Got tons of branching. Tons of tomatoes. This is one pot with 2 single stems in it, and they have reached the top up there, continuing to throw flowers like crazy. I need to let them down. Right now the only way I can pollinate them is to shake them. Too high. Man, this thing is keeping me busy this time. So I've got two or three black cherries on the very end, fawn pots on 2 or 3 of the rows, 3 of the rows, I think, because the Campari's on the one next to this. These are my Moskvich tomato. It's supposed to, for an heirloom, rival a greenhouse tomato, a greenhouse early tomato. You can see I've got a lot changing color there. And it's supposed to be very, very tasty. I have not ever tasted one, but I will let you know as soon as I can. So let me see if I can pull one here. It is, I got a split on that one, but it is very uniform, beautifully shaped tomato so far. I'm noticing decent clusters and really good set. And also doing very well. I'd say they're probably 8 or 9 foot tall. There's a couple in there, and I'll get those. This is my hybrid tomato. I called it Succeed HT, and they're not very tall. There's a couple on the end that are really tall, but mostly they're not very tall, and they're not as hardy as I was hoping they were going to be, nor are they showing some of the preferable characteristics. They're looking like a regular, more or less a regular beefsteak right now. with the trusses being okay. Some of them are bigger, like that one's bigger. I don't see really any promising one really out of the whole bunch except maybe this one. And it lacks some uniformity. It does have some of the striping that I liked, and it does have the bigger trusses. Not the super mega trusses like before, but this one down here has got quite a few. But mostly it lost the hybrid, maybe hybrid vigor I saw last year. I'll keep my eye on it. If none of these produce what I really like, then I will go back to seed and maybe mass plant out another time. But we'll do some taste testing on these. Not as prolific as some of the others in the garden either. Even though the trusses are big, they're not setting fruit as much as I'd like. Maybe they'll come on later in the season. Anyway, I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt for now. And this is my bucket after taking tomatoes. My peppers are growing, and I'm getting a little bit of fruit set. They're probably not doing as well as they could, but then again, peppers they like it really hot. And so I've got peppers in these buckets, and they're growing. California Wonders, Big Gems, and I think a jalapeno is about all I've got. Seen some flowers, got some, one there, and we'll just see what they do. Production of strawberries is falling off. I'm still getting sporadic berries, like there, decent sized berries. But what they have done is they've turned into a jungle of runners. And that suits me just fine, because you know what I'm going to do now is do like I promised. I'm going to cut these runners and see if that little bit of root right there on the majority of these will bring it back after it sits in the fridge for a little bit. So these are, there's one, a couple berries, some still growing. This is my hand in comparison, and they're just tons of strawberries. Not strawberries, strawberry plants. All in here throwing tons of runners. Tons and tons of runners. That's the take. This is Brent with the Greenhouse Harvest.